The obvious. That glittering beacon of self-evidence illuminating life's most mundane truths with the subtlety of a neon sign in Times Square. From do not eat labels to instructions that warn you not to use a toaster in the bathtub, the obvious is a relentless force in our daily lives. Take a jar of peanut butter, for example, with it saying, contains peanuts. You mean to tell me that this peanut-flavored spread, marketed with a giant peanut on the label, somehow involves peanuts? I'm shocked. My worldview is truly shattered to bits. Unfortunately, the obvious isn't so obvious to many people. President Trump has hit the ground running with a lot of executive orders since he was sworn in at his inauguration. One of them being that the federal government only recognizes two sexes. It's a strange time in history when the self-evident truths of biology, truths observable in every corner of the natural world, must be formalized into a legal document. This is akin to issuing a law declaring gravity to be real or the earth to be round. And it's like, those statements are true, but why do they need to be codified? And then you realize that the world went insane. This is allowed to happen because mental lunatics put their feelings above reality. How many times do we have to prove that men can't be women and vice versa? For this particular case, oh dear. In this particular case, the game happened in California. In California, you got no choice but to put up with this. The CIF governs interscholastic athletics, and they say in their best practices that students should use whatever restrooms or locker rooms that aligns with their gender identity. Yeah, it's pretty clear why Trump signed that executive order on there being only two sexes. Thankfully, common sense does seem to be making a comeback. Last year, Biden and his administration tried to make some changes to Title IX. If you aren't aware, Title IX was the statute created in 1972 that prevents discrimination on the basis of sex in public schools. The Biden administration tried to change this by smuggling in gender identity as a part of the definition of sex. You can't read the document on the official government site anymore, but you know I always got the receipts. Here in this 1,500-page long document, holy crap! It says, the department agrees with the commenters that conduct directed at a student's nonconformity with stereotypical notions of how boys or girls are expected to act and appear, or that seeks to restrict students from participating in activities that are not stereotypically associated with the student's sex, could constitute sex-based harassment that creates a hostile environment. Page, it says, sex-based harassment, including harassment predicated on sex stereotyping or gender identity, is covered by Title IX if it is sex-based, unwelcome, subjectively and objectively offensive, and sufficiently severe or pervasive to limit or deny a student's ability to participate in or benefit from a recipient's education program or activity, i.e., creates a hostile environment. Thus, harassing a student, including acts of verbal, nonverbal, or physical aggression, intimidation, or hostility based on the student's nonconformity with stereotypical notions of masculinity and femininity or gender identity, can constitute discrimination on the basis of sex under Title IX in certain circumstances. Now, of course, you shouldn't harass anyone, but the problem here is, well, who defines harassment? Surely saying that there are only two sexes or genders can't be grounds for harassment, right?
And then we're required to intervene if we witness discrimination, harassment, right? I know at school sometimes when we say the word bullying, our brain just shuts off. Like, don't talk to me anymore about bullying. But if we're talking about on that one, what the law says in intimidation, that's kind of like the lowest bar right there, the lowest hanging fruit. Intimidation, what does that look like? If a student walks into a classroom and says, there's only 2 genders, and writes it on the board, as I've been getting calls about when we start school again, right? Kids come back from the summer and they've got a lot to say. That's intimidation. That's harassment. We have a duty to intervene. But how do we do it? How does our staff know how to do it, right? We have to give them those tools. Most of our staff have not been trained. Even you all here today who found out about this because you're in this work, you're looking for it, like 75% of you, this is your first gender identity training, right? On the thing.
Since we have a racked out definition of what harassment is, anything goes. A guy can go into a girl's bathroom and none of the girls can do anything about this. Their privacy, their safety, who cares about that? All that matters is how the person with the mental issue feels. The good news is that this got struck down. It's crazy that this needs to be said, but men are stronger and faster than women. That's why we have sports divisions for them. I tell you, man, this is 3rd grade biology. There's a Congress bill that passed the House of Representatives a couple years ago in April 2023, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. The bill generally prohibits school athletic programs from allowing individuals whose biological sex at birth was male to participate in programs that are for women or girls. It acts as another reinforcement that Title IX refers specifically only to sex, not gender identity. So, all in all, Trump's executive order to federally recognize that there are only 2 sexes seems pretty obvious. But with all the legal nonsense that's been happening over the past few years, I guess it wasn't, and the obvious needed to be restated. Thanks for watching.